A man does not rise by the chance flicker of inspiration, nor is he shaped by comfort or convenience. He is forged hour by hour by the choices he commands over himself. Discipline is the general of the mind. Emotion is but a private, ever shifting in its loyalty. To surrender your will to emotion is to relinquish the throne of your own destiny. It is the disciplined who conquer, not the inspired. Every day, the common man waits for motivation like a peasant awaits favorable weather. He asks, "Do I feel like it?" The conqueror does not ask such questions. He commands himself. Whether the skies are dark or the stomach churns, he rises. He does what must be done, not because he feels like it, but because the mission demands it. The habit of showing up, especially when you least feel like it, is not a mere preference. It is the difference between obscurity and legacy. Emotion is volatile. One moment it uplifts, the next it betrays. A man ruled by his feelings is tossed like a leaf in the wind, but discipline is the foundation, unmoving, impervious to storm. Those who act only when inspired will never act long enough to see greatness. The builder of empires understands this, that real power lies in doing what is required when the soul least desires it. It is not the loud declaration of intent that matters. It is the silent, repetitive execution. Small habits are the drills of the inner army. Rising early, hydrating the body, reading the page, completing a workout. These are not grand feats in themselves, but they are the strokes of the sculptor's chisel, each one carving away weakness, each one sharpening the edges of resolve. They are small only in scale, never in effect, and they are only sustained through discipline. The emotion of wanting to be better is fleeting. It burns hot, then dies. Discipline endures beyond the flame. There is a quiet violence in discipline. It kills hesitation. It cuts through doubt. It silences the whining voice that begs for comfort. The world is full of men who dream, but dreaming does not build, does not protect, does not advance. Only action, repeated and refined, does that. And action requires discipline, not just in battle, but in the unseen moments. The hours no one watches, the days when nothing seems to change, the mornings when the bed seduces with warmth. These are the proving grounds. These are where champions are made. Discipline is not cold. It is not cruel. It is the purest form of self-respect. To be disciplined is to say to yourself, "I am worthy of better. I do not bend to comfort, to weakness, to fleeting desire. I bow only to the vision I have chosen." When a man governs himself, nothing outside him can rule him. That is the hidden truth of discipline. It liberates. Emotion may feel good in the moment, but it enslaves. It pulls the reins from your hands and gives them to chance, to mood, to circumstance. The undisciplined are not free. They are chained to their impulses, tossed between regret and distraction. The disciplined, on the other hand, live with clarity. Every step they take is deliberate, calculated. Their energy is not scattered, but concentrated. The undisciplined chase 10 things and grasp none. The disciplined pursue one thing with relentless focus and take it. One cannot wait for conditions to be perfect. They never are. The weather turns. The heart falters. The world whispers 1,000 excuses. But discipline listens only to purpose. It is blind to comfort, deaf to complaint. Discipline is not the absence of emotion, but the decision to act in spite of it. It is to be in command of your own will, to declare, "This is what must be done, and I shall do it." Not once, not occasionally, but every single time. To install even one habit through discipline is to shift the orbit of your life. The morning you rise early instead of sleeping in, the workout you complete when tired, the journal entry written when your mind is cloudy. All of these become bricks in a fortress of character. And once discipline has laid enough bricks, the structure becomes unshakable. At that point, emotion can scream, but it cannot steer. You are no longer a servant to your feelings. You are a commander of action. A man with discipline walks taller, speaks with clarity, acts with conviction. His steps do not waver and his eyes do not dart. He does not explain himself with excuses. He has no need. The results speak for him. He is calm in chaos because he has been trained in silence. The world may throw obstacles in his path, but he does not curse them. He simply adjusts his stance and moves forward, because that is what discipline does. It makes motion inevitable. Emotion seeks escape. Discipline seeks elevation. Emotion distracts with pleasure. Discipline rewards with pride. Emotion follows comfort. Discipline leads to power. Motion is the spark of conquest. It is not the size of the step that matters, but the refusal to stand still. The world is filled with men who dream, who imagine great futures, who speak of change with eloquence, and yet remain frozen. They wait for the perfect time, the ideal mood, the right alignment of stars. Meanwhile, the man who begins, even clumsily, begins to generate momentum. That man becomes unstoppable. Momentum is not a force granted from above, it is summoned from action. From the smallest act of progress, momentum is born, and once born, it grows like fire fed with dry wood. Momentum cares nothing for excuses. It does not require the full plan. It does not demand flawless execution. It simply demands initiation. Do one push-up, read one paragraph, save one coin, write one line. These are not heroic acts, but they ignite the engine. Momentum is not built in glory, but in repetition. It does not arise from the finish line, but from the first step taken when the voice inside said, "Not today." In those moments, momentum is chosen, and from that choice, everything else becomes easier. An object at rest stays at rest. This is not just a principle of physics. It is the law of human stagnation. The man who lingers in stillness becomes comfortable with it. He becomes heavy. His thoughts slow. His ambition dulls. But movement changes this. When a man begins to move, energy returns to him. Purpose begins to awaken. Discipline is easier when momentum is on his side. The second action is always easier than the first, and the third is easier still. This is the magic of motion. It transforms burden into rhythm. Momentum gives strength to the weak and clarity to the confused. You do not need to see the entire battlefield to begin advancing. Take the hill in front of you. Gain ground. Momentum is the general that clears fog from the path. Once a man has gained forward motion, decisions become simpler, resistance weaker. Doubt does not vanish. It simply struggles to keep pace. The man in motion is too focused on progress to be imprisoned by hesitation. The truth is this: most people do not fail because they lack ability. They fail because they never gain momentum. They start and stop, never long enough in motion to build force. They confuse effort with consistency. But momentum does not come from occasional sprints. It comes from the daily march, from habit, from making progress so routine that it becomes part of the blood. Once that happens, resistance no longer surprises you. You expect it, push through it, and continue. That is the gift of momentum. It gives power to persistence. A man must understand the difference between action and motion. Action is the spark, motion is the flame. You do not need to light the fire every day from scratch. You simply need to keep it burning. This is where small habits reign. They are the keepers of the fire. They may appear insignificant, but they hold the rhythm of momentum. To brush them off is to spit on the very mechanism that breeds success. The man who moves every day, even if slightly, is further along than the one who waits for a mighty breakthrough. Momentum silences the world. It makes noise irrelevant. It makes mockery powerless. The man in motion no longer needs applause. He does not crave validation. His reward is in the act of continuing. When the pace is steady and the direction clear, others may not notice the progress immediately. But it does not matter. Momentum is not for display. It is for dominance. Let others stumble over grand beginnings. Let them chase intensity. The man who understands momentum seeks consistency, and through consistency, he becomes formidable. It is not just about speed. It is about direction. A man who moves forward slowly still conquers the man who runs in circles. Momentum without purpose is wasted motion, but when discipline guides it, when vision gives it direction, then momentum becomes the most dangerous weapon in the arsenal. It makes obstacles look smaller. It turns effort into instinct. It sharpens confidence not from belief, but from proof. Every day of forward motion is a testament to power earned, not promised. Momentum has no respect for starting positions. It does not care where you begin, only that you begin. The man who rose from nothing but who moved daily will pass the man who is gifted everything but remains still. In this, there is justice. There is fairness. The path rewards the one who walks it. No throne is promised, but the throne is there for the one who keeps moving toward it, day after day, without fanfare, without permission. Do not wait for willpower. Do not wait for perfect alignment. Begin. Begin imperfectly. Begin uncertainly, but begin. Action creates motion, and motion creates momentum. And once momentum is yours, the world no longer feels immovable. Problems seem smaller. Distractions feel lighter, because you are no longer stuck. You are advancing. And when you advance, even time begins to yield. Time is the one resource that cannot be replaced, recovered, or extended. It is the one great equalizer in life. Each person is given 24 hours in a day. Nothing more, nothing less. What separates the ordinary from the extraordinary, the successful from the stagnant, is not what one has, but how one uses the time granted. To squander time is to surrender the future to chance. To harness it is to bend the world to your will. Time is a weapon, and the one who masters it is the one who conquers life itself. There is no neutrality in the passage of time. It does not pause, it does not wait. It does not care for your dreams, your plans, or your ambitions. Time moves forward, relentless in its pursuit. But while it waits for no one, it offers itself freely to those who know how to use it. To the undisciplined, time slips by unnoticed, wasted in distraction, idleness, and procrastination. The disciplined, however, see time as their most potent ally. They do not passively await the right moment. They create it day by day, moment by moment. Those who view time as a weapon understand its power lies in the small, seemingly insignificant decisions. It is not about having hours to spare, but about seizing the minutes that others neglect. Time is the most powerful currency. Its value is not measured by its quantity, but by its quality. To treat time with reverence is to understand that each minute you allow to slip away is a minute you will never retrieve. And once lost, it cannot be recovered. Every decision regarding time is a battle. It is a fight against distraction, against procrastination, against the lazy lure of comfort. But there is no victory without this struggle. The man who controls his time controls his destiny. The one who lets time control him is a prisoner to the forces of chance. He becomes a spectator in his own life, never realizing his potential, never achieving his goals, because he never took the time to advance toward them. The key to mastering time is to understand its relationship with focus. Focus is the sharp edge that cuts through the noise of daily life, allowing a person to see where their time should be invested. It is not enough to simply work hard. The hours must be channeled with precision and intent. The man who can focus, who can direct his energy toward meaningful tasks and eliminate the distractions that consume others, becomes unstoppable. He is not ruled by time, he rules it. Consider the way time seems to expand and contract depending on how it is used. When one is working without purpose or wasting time in idle pursuits, the day stretches endlessly, each minute dragging like a slow march. But when purpose fills every hour, when action becomes driven by intention, time seems to fly. A man with a clear goal can lose himself in his work, and hours pass like moments. Time no longer feels like a limited resource. It feels abundant, as if the more he uses, the more it gives. This is the illusion of mastery. Time becomes elastic when it is used with focus and discipline. To use time as a weapon, one must make decisions about how to invest it. Every task, no matter how small, is a choice between progress and stagnation. To choose action is to carve out the future. To delay, to procrastinate, to waste time in trivial distractions is to willingly choose defeat. One does not become great through grand gestures or sporadic moments of brilliance. Greatness is forged through consistent, deliberate action day after day, and every minute used with purpose. The man who dedicates his time to his craft, his health, his knowledge, his relationships, is the man who becomes unstoppable. He is building his empire, not through years of hard work, but through moments of constant, incremental progress. Time is also a weapon of mental mastery. It is not just about what one does, but how one responds to the passage of time. The impatient man, the one who rushes to see results, is a slave to his emotions. He does not understand the quiet power of patience, of waiting for the right moment to act, of allowing the fruits of labor to ripen in their own time. The disciplined man understands that time, when harnessed, is not a burden but a tool. He uses it to his advantage, knowing that each passing moment brings him closer to his goal. He does not waste time complaining, wishing for shortcuts, or hoping for easy answers. He takes what time gives him, and he uses it to carve out the future he desires. The way a person uses time reveals much about their character. The undisciplined squander time in the pursuit of distractions. The disciplined use it to build something larger than themselves. Time, in its essence, is an opportunity. Every day offers a blank canvas, and each moment is a brush stroke that contributes to the final picture. What will you create with the time you have? The man who takes full advantage of his time, who invests it wisely, who sacrifices fleeting comforts for long-term gains, is the one who will look back at the end of his life and see a legacy that cannot be erased. Time is your ally, your greatest weapon, but it can only be wielded by those who understand its value and its power. It is the tool that separates the dreamer from the achiever, the passive from the proactive. Once you understand time's true nature and treat it with the respect it demands, you unlock the ability to shape your world, to control your future, and to conquer the life that is waiting for you. Mastery is not born of genius or divine intervention. It is not a gift handed down by fortune, nor is it the result of one great act. True mastery is the product of repetition, the steady, relentless honing of a skill or craft. Repetition is the key to turning the raw, unrefined potential into excellence. It is the hammer that strikes the anvil, shaping the metal, forging something strong and unyielding. The master is not the one who shines brightly in a single moment. He is the one who shines consistently, day after day, through countless hours of practice, through the grind that others cannot endure. In every great success story, behind the scenes, there are hours of unseen work. What the world sees as a triumph, a final product, or an outstanding achievement is built upon a foundation of repetition. The athlete does not become great through a single game. The musician does not achieve mastery through one perfect performance. The leader does not emerge as a visionary through a single speech or decision. They all become great through the monotonous, often tedious, process of doing the same thing over and over again, refining their craft with each repetition. This is the unspoken truth of success. Mastery is earned, not given. Repetition is the path to precision. It is only through repetition that the small, seemingly insignificant details are absorbed into the body and mind until they are no longer consciously thought about, but instinctively executed. The dancer who moves with grace and fluidity does not do so by thinking about each step. Her body has ingrained the motions. The writer who produces words with ease does not strain over each sentence. He has written thousands before, each time improving, each time making his writing flow more effortlessly. The fighter who strikes with precision, the scientist who solves problems with logic, the entrepreneur who turns ideas into reality, each one has achieved their mastery through repetition. The power of repetition lies not in the act itself, but in the transformation it brings. It turns uncertainty into confidence, hesitation into action, and fear into competence. In the beginning, repetition feels clumsy. There is no rhythm. The task seems monumental, and progress feels slow. But over time, as the repetition continues, the skill becomes second nature. The movements become fluid, the process becomes easier, and the individual becomes better. What was once difficult becomes effortless. Mastery is not the result of sudden brilliance, but the culmination of countless small efforts built upon each other over time. There is a misconception that mastery is about talent. Talent may open the door, but it is repetition that builds the house. The talented individual who does not repeat their practice will falter. They will lack the refinement, the precision, the depth of understanding that comes only from repetition. Talent gives the initial push, but it is the work, the persistent dedication to repeating the process again and again, that leads to true mastery. Repetition also brings an understanding of failure, and this is crucial. Failure is not a setback in the journey to mastery. It is an essential part of the process. Through repetition, the individual learns from each misstep. Each failure is a lesson. With every attempt, mistakes are identified and corrected. Repetition becomes a tool for refining the skill, for identifying weaknesses, and for building resilience. It teaches patience and perseverance, two qualities essential for mastery. The individual who embraces repetition understands that failure is not defeat, but an opportunity to learn, to adjust, and to improve. This journey of mastery is never easy, and it is rarely glamorous. In the early stages, the results seem minimal. The beginner may look at the expert and feel overwhelmed, thinking, "I will never be as good as them." But the expert has been where the beginner stands. They have spent countless hours, days, and years repeating their craft until it became ingrained in them. The difference between the two is not raw talent, but time spent in repetition. The path to mastery is a long one, but it is paved with countless repetitions, and each repetition brings the individual closer to excellence. The beauty of mastery through repetition is that it applies to every field, every skill, every area of life. Whether you are seeking to master a sport, a trade, an art, or even an aspect of personal development, the principle remains the same. Repetition is the great equalizer. It is the tool that can take anyone, regardless of their starting point, and elevate them to the highest levels of achievement. The key is not to be distracted by the allure of shortcuts, by the promise of instant results, or by the belief that one moment of brilliance will be enough. True mastery requires an unwavering commitment to repetition, to practice, and to continual improvement. In the end, mastery is not just about skill. It is about the mindset that embraces the process, that finds joy in the journey of constant improvement. It is about the ability to see each repetition not as a chore, but as a step toward greatness. The master does not tire of repetition because he understands that each repetition is a victory in itself. It is a victory over complacency, over distraction, and over the desire for instant gratification. Through repetition, the master not only refines his skill, but also strengthens his character. He becomes someone who can be trusted with the responsibility of greatness, for he has earned it through the tireless, unglamorous work of repetition. Self-sovereignty is the highest form of freedom. It is the ability to govern oneself without yielding to external forces, to remain steadfast and unwavering in the pursuit of personal goals, values, and principles. To be self-sovereign is to recognize that no one else controls your thoughts, actions, or decisions, not society, not circumstances, not even the people closest to you. It is the recognition that your life, your time, your future are entirely within your control. This is not a freedom given. It is a freedom earned and maintained through discipline, choice, and responsibility. The average person is often ruled by external influences. They are swayed by the opinions of others, driven by societal pressures, distracted by the noise of modern life. Their lives are defined not by their own values, but by the expectations placed upon them. They are subject to the whims of the world, responding to each stimulus without ever taking a moment to assess their own desires. But the self-sovereign man is different. He does not bow to the world's demands. He does not bend his will to fit the mold others create for him. He remains grounded in his own identity, carving out a path that reflects who he truly is, not who the world wants him to be. To achieve self-sovereignty, one must first understand the power of choice. Every decision, no matter how small, is a choice that defines who you are. The choices you make shape your habits, and your habits shape your destiny. To choose to rise early, to choose to work even when tired, to choose to focus on what matters rather than what distracts you. These choices are not mere actions, they are declarations of self-sovereignty. The man who cannot control his choices cannot control his life. He is a slave to his impulses, his environment, and the forces that surround him. But the self-sovereign man is free because he chooses his actions, his thoughts, and his direction without compromise. Self-sovereignty also means accepting full responsibility for your life. It is easy to blame others for your circumstances. Blame the government, the economy, your upbringing, your past. But true freedom comes only when you accept that you are the author of your own story. The self-sovereign individual does not wait for the world to change to suit him. He changes himself to meet the world head-on. He does not wait for permission. He takes the initiative to shape his own destiny. When failure comes, he does not point the finger at others. He examines himself, learns from the experience, and moves forward with even greater resolve. The world often offers easy excuses. It tells you that you are a victim of circumstance, that your past determines your future, that your environment defines your potential. But self-sovereignty rejects these excuses. It demands that you take ownership of your actions, your decisions, and your future. It is the belief that regardless of what has happened to you, you have the power to create change. It is the belief that your past does not define your future, your actions do. When you choose to be self-sovereign, you reclaim your agency and refuse to let anyone or anything dictate the course of your life. Self-sovereignty also means knowing what you stand for and having the courage to live in accordance with your principles. It is easy to be swept along by the current of popular opinion, to compromise your values for the sake of convenience or approval. But the self-sovereign individual knows that his integrity is his most valuable possession. He is unwavering in his commitment to his values, even when the world challenges him to abandon them. He is not afraid to stand alone, to make unpopular decisions, or to face adversity head-on. His sense of self is not dependent on external validation. He is rooted in his own beliefs and convictions. One of the key aspects of self-sovereignty is the ability to master the mind. The mind is a powerful force, but it is easily influenced by external pressures. The media, society, and other people often seek to shape your thoughts and beliefs, molding you into something that serves their interests. But the self-sovereign individual takes control of his own mind. He does not allow others to tell him what to think, feel, or believe. Instead, he cultivates his own thoughts, feeds his mind with knowledge, and shapes his worldview based on his own experiences and understanding of the world. He knows that his mind is his most valuable asset, and he guards it fiercely. This mental sovereignty is essential because it is the mind that governs actions. The body follows the mind, and the decisions you make are born from the thoughts you entertain. To be self-sovereign is to train the mind to be strong, resilient, and focused. It is to reject the distractions that cloud your judgment and to remain aligned with your higher purpose. The self-sovereign man does not let his emotions dictate his decisions. He rules his emotions. He does not let the fear of failure or the lure of comfort deter him from his goals. He knows that true power lies in mastering his thoughts and directing them toward productive action. Self-sovereignty also extends to time. The self-sovereign individual understands that time is his most precious resource, and he treats it accordingly. He does not waste time on trivial pursuits or idle distractions. He does not allow the world to dictate how he spends his time. Instead, he takes charge of his schedule, prioritizes his goals, and invests his time in pursuits that align with his values. He does not give his time to those who do not respect it, and he does not waste it on things that do not contribute to his long-term vision. To be self-sovereign is to live with purpose. It is to know that your time on this earth is limited, and therefore every moment matters. The self-sovereign man understands this and lives with urgency, with focus, and with intention. He does not wait for opportunities to come to him. He creates them. He does not hope for change. He makes it happen. Through discipline, focus, and self-mastery, he becomes the architect of his own life, and no one else can dictate his path. The world may throw challenges his way, but he remains unshaken. He remains sovereign over himself, and in that sovereignty he commands his future. The path to personal transformation is not forged by a single monumental act, but by the consistent application of small, deliberate habits, each of the 10 habits explored, from the power of momentum to the mastery of self-sovereignty, forms the bedrock upon which a life of success, purpose, and resilience can be built. Every action, no matter how small, is a step toward shaping the person you wish to become. Through repetition, you refine your craft and move closer to mastery. Through focus and discipline, you reclaim time as your greatest weapon, wielding it to create your desired future. And through self-sovereignty, you remain the architect of your own life, unshaken by external pressures and unwavering in your commitment to your values and goals. Success is not a destination, but a journey of constant progress, fueled by the smallest actions that compound over time. By embracing these habits, you seize control of your destiny, forging a life that is not defined by chance or circumstance, but by your own deliberate choices. When you understand that transformation begins with the smallest steps and is sustained by a relentless commitment to growth, you unlock the true power within you. The life you desire is not outside your reach. It is within your grasp, waiting to be shaped by the habits you cultivate every single day.